For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of election, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silent, not praised.
You know, once you appoint yourself an arbiter of what's true and what's not true, then there's really no end to the power that you have now assumed for yourself.
And ladies and gentlemen, the best is yet to come.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Jeff Dornik Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going live kind of sporadically now, kind of depending on when we get guests and what time and all that kind of stuff. So make sure the best thing for you guys to do is to subscribe to the Jeff Dornik Show on Rumble, and then that way you guys get notified every single time we go live. You guys can join in the conversation. Make sure you guys are as well post your questions, comments, things like that in the live chat, and I very well may ask some of your questions live during the show. So make sure that you guys are doing that. Just a couple things before we get started. Do not forget to go over to pickaxe.com. That's the new social media platform I'm in the process of building. We're going to be launching it here in the next few weeks. It's going to be a completely constitution protected free speech social media platform, unlike anything else out there. We're not beholden to big tech at all, algorithms that work on your behalf, and monetization opportunities for content creators. So make sure you guys go sign up today at pickaxe.com. We're launching that here in the next few weeks. And then that way you guys can be a part of that once we get that launched. And then as well, as always, go check out our sponsor, MyPillow. Go to mypillow.com. Use promo code FFN. Get massive discounts over there. Not only supporting this show, but you also be supporting Mike Lindell, MyPillow, the whole deal. We definitely need to be supporting all the conservative companies out there. MyPillow is definitely one of them. So go over to mypillow.com and use promo code FFN. Okay, without further ado, we are going to go ahead and bring on our guest for today. Filmmaker, writer, musician, Rat Skates is joining us. Welcome to the show. Glad we could sit down here and chat for a bit.
Jeff, thank you. This is awesome.
I'm really glad to have you. No, and I do have to say, you probably have one of the best sets for an interview that I've had to date. So I appreciate that as well.
And I appreciate you recognizing that. Yeah. It's not that I needed to do something different. It's just that I've been doing these episodes where I sit down and I speak about what's going on using the lines from The Honeymooners. Okay. And as we can see, half the lights are on because, the Joey Biden regime has taken all of my money that I can't afford to keep the lights on half the time. And anyway, it's a cool set, right?
Oh yeah, no, I like it. I like it. It's great. It's great for like a show, podcast, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, black and white. The Electronicam, Dumont Electronicam TV film system went out in the 50s. That's all I can afford right now.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, it's really interesting because obviously you have a very very interesting background. Obviously being a musician and all of that. But you've been talking about a lot of these things that we're facing. I think today. But also I think with some of your experience with even just being in the entertainment industry, I think that gives you to a certain degree some insight as to how they're actually able to manipulate people and guide people along towards their narratives and what they're trying to push us all into. What's been your experience and really what kind of opened up your eyes to what's really going on when it comes to these propaganda wars?
Well, there's a lot of things, as we get older, our interests, our priorities, and what we're concerned about changes, especially when you have kids, things like that. But I've narrowed down what I see going on right now to three sort of categories of behavior on the left. demonic, psychotic, complete idiots. And there are clearly extremely low IQ, single digit IQ people on the left. And quite honestly, the woke community has there. You see, these things all sort of combine because there's a psychotic element of our behavior. I shouldn't say our behavior, of behavior we can witness right now, that also morphs into the demonic. And that is really not talked about at all, but it is demonstrably proven by watching what's going on. See, here's the thing too, Jeff. If we're watching what's going on every day, which we do, but we're like going, wow, I can't believe what they did today. Man, can you believe what this one or that one said or whatever? When do we actually say, why is this going on? And then address it accordingly. And the reason we're not doing that is because we have a little bit of a reality issue, quite honestly, on both sides. The left wants to reimagine reality. There's a whole litany of things that we can, if it's the trans thing, 2 + 2 can equal 5, whatever it may be. There's a ton of things there. But also, when people are behaving in such a psychotic manner, but going out of their way and doing everything they can to maximize destruction, that is demonic. All right. And that is really not an opinion, because that's what evil does, wants to destroy everything. And if we look what's going on right now, you'd be hard pressed to find something right now that they're not purposely trying to destroy. One thing is if you're a clueless imbecile, yeah, but you don't go out of your way to do, especially what they're doing to children right now. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, and also again, I don't know where you are from like the religious standpoint and all of that, but for me as a Christian, one of the things that I've looked at is obviously things from like the theological position, and I totally agree with you when it comes to all these basically demonic forces, demonic ideologies, and all that. I mean, if you just take a look, a cursory glance at the Democrat stated platform on the DNC website, it's literally like they read the Bible and then they wrote down the exact opposite of everything that's there. And I've been talking a lot about my concerns when it comes to artificial intelligence, quantum computing, the demonic involvement within that as well. And I think it's one of these things where we look at what I always refer to as the powers that be and all that they're trying to implement, all that they're trying to do and accomplish. And it's like, why does it always go towards the demonic? Why does it always go towards the occultic? Why is it that all of these people, they're never these, Southern Baptist Christian, super conservative folk. They're always like into the occult and bloodletting and blood this and occultic this and satanic practice that. It's like at a certain point, we're going to have to just take it at face value and say, no, yeah, this is 100% demonic.
Well, it is. The thing is, as Christians, like you were saying, and my position is I'm a Catholic. Okay. Now, Joey always tells us he's a Catholic. Actually, he says practicing Catholic. And so does Nervous Nancy, say the same thing. They're Catholics. There's absolutely no denying what they do is the opposite of any Catholic values, the complete opposite. The murdering of children in the womb is just one thing, but they despise freedom, God-given freedom. The whole rainbow insanity is pervasive right now everywhere, and it's like, and on all these complete psychotic word ruses, like love is love. Well, no, love is not love. Okay, because you're supposed to love a terrorist or Dr. Mengele, the abortion doctor. No, these things are just outrageous. And so like you said, they're going out of their way to, one thing is occult things that we see like at Davos. I mean, they're not trying to hide it anymore. But again, it's just maximizing destruction. Now, the church itself, the Catholic Church, Christians in general, are extremely complacent and somewhat, let's call it for what it is. When you just watch things go on all the time and you don't do anything, you are responsible for it in the sense that you didn't say anything. All that evil needs to succeed is for good men to shut up and do nothing. And that's what's been happening because we're afraid, or who knows, or maybe you don't have all your facts together, but we're afraid because someone's going to come at us and everything. Good. That means you were effective. And what they obviously want to do when you tell the truth is shut you down. Like I'm sure you've been shut down on social media and shadow banned. I have all over the place. I can't stand it. It makes me not want to go there at all. But when you speak the truth, what can they do? They got to call it hate speech, because you tell the truth, and they won't. They can't. They'll never debate a conservative because they can't. There's no winning position that they could take, and they know that. So we need to the people who have their marbles, who are maintaining some sanity in all this. We need to really start calling this for what it is. It's demonic and it's psychotic. There's a combination of both things. But Fox News and all this, you know what? I like you, Jeff, I've had it. And God bless you and other people that are doing what we're doing, because we're not going to allow ourselves, like you said in your intro, to be shut down or muted by anyone. Tucker Carlson just did the biggest interview like ever, but Fox won't make a mention of it because it's not good for the net. So they don't really care about Vladimir Putin's position on the tough questions that Tucker asked him. Oh, he's not on the show anymore. Don't say anything. So just don't even acknowledge that he did it. Either we do this or we don't. And right now, because of our passiveness, the demons have much, much more influence over us because we're just watching it and going, wow, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Start calling it for what it is.
Yeah, well, I 100% agree with you, and I think that very kind of mentality, I think, is what puts conservatives at a disadvantage a lot of times, because the left, they'll just go for the jugular. I feel like a lot of times as conservatives, we're concerned about what other people think about us. We're concerned, well, if I say this, what are they going to say about this? I was just talking with even a friend of mine who's running for Congress out in Texas. And she was saying, she's been one of the biggest supporters for Donald Trump, very vocal, very out there and all of that. But she was just told that that Trump will not endorse her because she was present at the Capitol on January 6th, and she's considered a J6er, and it's not necessarily the best pressed, and they're trying to avoid that and all that as heading into campaign season. And like, on one hand, I get to a certain degree, you're worried about your optics and all that, but also we're literally in a war for the soul of this country. And there was 1 million people that showed up there on J6th, and all of a sudden we're not going to endorse people because they were present at the Capitol, not even in the building or arrested or anything like that, because we're concerned about the optics. Like, to me, we've got to go for the jugular, figuratively speaking, and expose the corruption and the lies and the false narratives about all these things. Not just be, what's somebody going to think about us? I'm just going to kind of back away from all this.
Absolutely, positively, and certainly. That's as simple as it gets. We have to stop tap dancing around things like, for example, one of the biggest, it's hilarious, but it's pathetic at the same time, because of all the speech, not just the shutting down of speech, but all the language control that they have. And so things do not appear to be what they actually are because of how they phrase things. Like the slaughter of an unborn children in the womb, that's what it is. is now, it was called abortion, but now it's just women's health care. It's all soft and everything. And of course, that gives them leverage for the people who can't pay attention, who are just like getting all their marching orders from Taylor Swift or something like that. Oh, you know, if you're anti-women and anti-women's health care because you do not want to see a child slaughtered in the womb. That's as simple. That's what it is. I've gone up to people straight up that I see a Planned Parenthood sticker on their car. And I just said, can you explain to me why it's okay to slaughter an unborn child in the womb? Oh, F you, you know, the whole thing, because they can't have any discussion about anything like that. So we have criminal trespassing over the border, which they call undocumented migrants, you know, all the word manipulation, the genital castration that children think it's okay to engage in is called gender affirming. Come on. And right there, that word, what does that word tell you? You know, it's like, oh, well, then the whole time it's been wrong. They've had the wrong apparatus that God gave them from birth. Oh, well, finally, we'll change this, which is also, by the way, saying that it's giving the middle finger to God, who created them as they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to be doing in the world and carry out what it is he gave them to do. But no, I'm not happy with the way I turned out. Okay, yeah. And right, and you know, homosexuals are called gays, whatever, you know, and gay, like on the Honeymooners, used to be a term that meant happy, you know, right? How that, and the word woke, the word woke, you know, it infers that someone's finally, oh, they're seeing a light. I get it now. Oh my gosh, I'm finally woke to something. They're woke to communism and the demonic. That's what they're woke to. But you know, this all has to change too. We got to stop using we are free people. We were given we're free. God made every single one of us free to think, choose, and speak as we wish. And we're not good. We have to stop. We have to start going out of our way to call it for what it is, and not like, oh, well, you know, use the words that they want because they don't like the way the truth sounds, quite honestly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And I think it's one of those things as well that I think we have to you know truly consider with all of this, is that, you know, like you were talking about, like the whole transgender thing, the quote unquote gender affirming care and all of that. And really, and this again, this goes back to this whole theme of this is full on demonic, because I'm seeing the direct parallel between what Satan said to Eve in the garden. Like, God didn't really say that if you eat this, like he's put that seed into doubt. He's basically saying God messed up, or God lied, or God didn't tell the truth, or God screwed up with all of this. It's the same thing when it comes to transgenderism. What they're doing is they're telling little kids, God made a mistake when he made you. God didn't really want you in this body.
Right.
And it's the exact same lie that Satan's been telling since the beginning of time. And again, if that's not evidence that this is a demonic ideology, I don't know what is.
Well, it clearly is. And a great analysis of that part of Genesis is that when that happened, and we became poisoned, which we still carry, is that we actually are under the hallucination that any one of us can determine objective truth or objective right and wrong. And that's the whole... you know, there's a whole separate thing, which I'd be happy to talk about maybe on another episode, but relativism, right? You know, that it breaks down so fast because you first of all, there can only be one truth, okay? And it can't be from a ubiquitous objective truth from a person. We didn't create right and wrong. Our creator gave us what is right and wrong to follow. So especially, you know, the college crowd, well, what's right for me may not be right for you. That's a preference claim. That has nothing to do with morality and values, because if, well, I think this and that's okay. Well, in other words, if I say, well, look, if your car is missing tonight, it's because I stole it. Don't steal my car, but I thought it was okay. How's that? In other words, right, if I could decide what's right and wrong, I think it's okay. I think I should have your car. You know, it just falls apart like instantly. So yeah, we've been carrying this disease since the garden, that we, the father of lies, of deception, that we can decide for us, for ourselves, what is right and wrong and what should be right and wrong for others. Because again, Satan despises freedom because God granted all of his children freedom. So obviously he's after that big time.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, what I think one of the other interesting things about where we're at right now is I think that a lot of people, they're trying to fight this battle that's going on in this country from like a political standpoint, even like a cultural standpoint. And it's like we're completely forgetting the spiritual aspect of this, because you know everybody's freaking out. Okay, is this end times? Is this eschatology? Is this where the Antichrist is coming into play? And for me, I'm like, it could be. It also might not be, because if you actually look at world history, Satan's been trying to do this with almost every single empire. I mean, you go back to the Roman Empire, the Babylonian Empire, you know, Nazi Germany, England, they all got very close to conquering the entire world. And then God said, hey, guess what? It's not time yet. I'm going to let you guys implode. Try again, Satan, you know, in 50 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, whatever it is. And yes, things have been happening more at a rapid pace. We're seeing a lot of parallels between what we see in the book of Revelation and today. But also, I think this still comes back to that we as conservatives and as Christians and people who actually believe the truth, we have a responsibility to proclaim the truth wherever that is, and try to wake up as many people as we can. We don't just concede, oh yeah, you know what, hey, this is in times, there's nothing we can do, let's just wait for the return of Christ.
Exactly. And the thing that I find very troubling, quite honestly, is like, I'll use Fox News as an example, okay? Because they're the biggest voice that are Republican. They would like to say they're conservative, but they're just much more Republican than they are conservative. But you know, faith, family, God, you know, God, family, country, that whole, well, okay, God, it's cherry picking what actually is the reality of our story and the reality of conditions, meaning that God and our Savior, these kind of things, there is an evil that has been trying to bring this down, bring all of it down, that will never quit. And we keep, again, like you were just saying about in the political realm. So voting for Donald Trump, you know, that's what I will do. But it doesn't mean that we're going to all of a sudden morally straighten ourselves out. And it just drives me out of my mind that people aren't considering anything past, well, we just get the right guy in office and we'll straighten everything out. That somehow, like Bernie Psycho Sanders will because enough laws that are put in place, there won't be any more greed. That's the fact that they can actually say something like that. If with a law there won't be greed. Greed is an emotion, and it is a dysfunctional emotion. It needs to be addressed, but it needs to be addressed between you and God as a condition of your behavior and how you're treating other people. But so anyway, but like with Fox and stuff like that, why, if something as evil as it can be, they won't say it? Because then they're going to get backlash. And so again, it's like the Tucker Carlson thing. They're more interested in just making sure they stay on that. So it's going to be you and me and some others who are going to bring this out, because we're in spiritual warfare. That's as simple as that is. And until we engage it and fight the battle for what it is, Satan's influence is going to get worse and worse and worse. And every day, children are, besides the slaughter in the womb, look what's going on in the schools. And it's not like, well, we're liberating kids by letting them know that they can do something else. What you're doing is you're psychologically assassinating them. A young kid, all they need, or what they need, is stability, simple things. They're just starting their life. I'm a male or I'm a female. This is the genitalia I have or don't have, and this is my mother and my father. Very simple things that they want to destroy. the evil one behind that saying, I'm going to dismantle things at a foundational level, male and female. So anyway, this is demonic and needs to be addressed as such all the time.
Yeah,
right?
and I think specifically with that as well, when we look at the New Testament, we see even the Apostle Paul talks about the gender roles between the husband and the wife and male and female and all of that, and within the relationship, the way that Paul explains it is that the husband is supposed to be a physical representation of the relationship between God and the church, and the wife is supposed to be the physical representation of the church and how the church deals with the leadership from God. And it's really interesting because when you tear apart the gender roles and you tear apart even gender down to its base level, you're taking away that exemplification of what our relationship with God is supposed to be. And I think that's also because Satan is trying to replace God and trying to defeat God and trying to do all that. And so I think that it's really important that we even get down to that foundational base level of why this is happening to understand it. It's interesting too, because there's a comment in the live chat as well from an account called I Was Here. It says the devil has fooled millions before, but now he has the tech to take it to the max. And I think that's really interesting, because when we look at groups like the World Economic Forum and Yuval Noah Harari and even Elon Musk with a lot of his ideologies and technologies that they're trying to implement, it seems to me that once they're able to merge technology and the internet with human biology and with the human brain, now all of a sudden they even have more control over us, and I would argue probably demonic control, because all of these guys, they seem to be demonic that are pushing all this kind of stuff. What do you make of that from your perspective?
Well, I completely agree with you. The technology. See, the thing is, we acquire or advance in technology, and it could be used like anything else for good or evil. I mean, when you have Mark Zuckerberg as one of the programmers of AI, let's just call it for what it is. From the very beginning, Mark Zuckerberg, as an example, because I really, he's perceived as just some kind of hip sort of like former college guy, whatever he is. But he's always been so socially awkward. So he got the whole story of Facebook, and so he wants. That's very clear. He wants everyone to be communicating electronically, not personally. AI is going to solve your problems. We look at children right now today, and do you have children, Jeff?
I have one, yes. Young, 21 months.
Oh, God bless.
Yeah.
God bless. Anyway, my wife being a school teacher, kids cannot look anyone in the eye. They can only look at a screen. So by all the AI and Facebook knowing exactly what they're doing, knowing a tactic of how to get people addicted to that and not want to get off of it, they're only able to communicate using their fingers on a keypad instead of looking at people. When a solar flare big enough happens and knocks out our power, and we know that's going to happen at some point. What happens then? People aren't going to know, or at least the younger people aren't going to know how to talk to each other. Done it. Where's my communication? They're going to walk. I hope I'm answering your question here, but the AI, is unbelievably nefarious if it's not. And I don't think we're disciplined enough to keep it used for constructive and positive purposes, because we're not. We see, So what do you do? So if you want to call it or technology, they could stick a camera down my throat and spot cancer. That's fantastic. With that same tech, they could do other stuff like spying on people everywhere they go, because they need to know what you're doing, because Facebook, and they're just a surveillance industry. We know that. But so this is a problem. we got a lot of problems, don't we?
No, we do, but I think it's one of those things too that I think we as conservatives and just people in general have to really think through these things. very, very extensively to figure out, okay, so what are we going to do? Because, you know, it's like for me, it's like, because I'm in the process of, like I said in the intro, I'm building out a social media platform. So I've been having to ask myself all these questions about, how are we going to use AI? Are we going to use it? Are we not going to use it? You know, because if we don't use it, you could fall behind. If you do use it, you could fall into the trap of, continuing to expand, and then all of a sudden it gets out of control and takes over the world, and we're looking at Terminator type crap. But it's, these are very serious kind of like ethical and moral questions that I think we have to ask. And I know, like for me, one of the big things too is I'm seeing so many people just even using AI to fully write all articles, or I'm seeing people write books, and I know the studios are using it to write scripts for movies, and cutting out the human creativity. And I know they're doing it with music now as well. I have a family member who's a musician, won a Grammy actually a while ago as well, and they're like it's ruining the industry, and I think even beyond just the job standpoint, but the human creativity, it's taking that away. And in the idea that we can just sit there, maybe sit there in silence and come up with new ideas, come up with a new song, come up with a new idea for a story, come up with a new business idea. I think that AI is kind of taking that creativity away. That is really one of those things where God created us in his image. And some of that is that creativity.
You're exactly right. Yeah, I'm listening to you, and you, I mean, everything you just said is basically, I would just mimic all of it, because without creativity, what do we do? What is our purpose? What do we walk this earth doing if every single thing is taken care for us in some electronic remote fashion? What do we do? What the greatest enjoyment as a musician, what you do is creative. We're talking right now, whether it's music or comedy, whatever it is. But so the Zuckerberg community, people who are in that sort of mentality, they just want instant satisfaction. However, just get it out as fast as you can. You look at the quality of a lot of things; it's gone downhill so much. Because people just want to get things out fast and just get the view count up or any of that stuff. I'm so against all that. This is why I'm probably never gonna mention what I'm doing. What you're saying about AI. I have a hard enough time just going on Twitter because every time you read something and there's some psycho nut job on the left that says something, and I'm like, I want to respond, and I'm like, wait a second. Why am I even gonna respond? This person's not gonna get it. And they're refusing to hear anything except, I've seen it. It gets me sick to even go on there. It's like, you just see these posts on the left. They're just like, Trump is the worst human being in the world. Who's with me? There's no substantial facts. Why do you make this claim? How could you make this claim? And all they want to do is just throw out this stupid yeah.
I think with that, it's really interesting because I've been diving a lot into the algorithms, and with the way that they do the algorithms, it's if you post anything of substance, oftentimes you end up getting downplayed in the algorithms. You post something very, very frivolous, middle of the road, you start attacking a little bit of both sides, you kind of become milk toast, you get amplified in the algorithms. And it's a fact. When you look at the way that Elon has set things up with X, in my opinion, I would almost argue it's more dangerous under the Elon Musk world than it was under Jack Dorsey, because with Jack Dorsey, you said something wrong, you just get kicked off. Okay. You know where you stand. But in this world, he's dangling the carrot of free speech in front of everybody. Everybody's chasing after it, but he doesn't actually quite give it to you because they've got their stated policy of you have freedom of reach, but not freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. So you're allowed to say whatever you want, but we're not going to let people see it unless you toe the middle of the road. You don't get too controversial either way. You stick with Elon's pet topics, and then you get boosted in the algorithms. And I'm like, what you're doing is you're teaching people to self-censor, to become milquetoast, to not be controversial, to not take strong opinions. And I'm just like, this is, in my opinion, this is almost more dangerous than back in the Jack Dorsey days.
That is absolutely right, man. You just hit it out of the park with that, because like I said about word manipulation and language control, if you control language, you control reality. And so if we're talking about the slaughter of a child in the womb, that post may never appear because of how I phrased it. So again, like you say, middle of the road, just let's call it abortion, or that may even be problematic. In fact, I know it is. And so just call it women's health care. And then I may be able to say a little something about it because I'm in what they deem as the safe area of speech terminology that they'll accept. So this is like what we've been talking about now since we started here, is like we have to go the opposite way. But the trouble is, like you're saying, but then we don't get any reach. So, you know, we're in a lot of trouble with all this. We really are, man. Like, yeah, because we want to tell it like it is, say the right thing, say the absolute truth, but no, you're not allowed to, because the gatekeepers, you know, are they don't like it.
Yeah, no, that is very true. Now, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the entertainment industry and Hollywood and music and all of that, because I think a lot of people, obviously, they know, okay, they have the entertainment industry has huge influence over people and their thought process and all that. But I don't think a lot of people have actually thought through how and why. And I'll put up my theory really quick, and then I want to hear your theory as well, because I think one of the interesting things is that when I look at, you know, conservative films or Christian films or even conservative music, it's very blatantly conservative or Christian. You know, like I always use the example. I was talking with a producer or a director that was wanting me to help him produce like faith-based films. And I was telling him, I was like, you know, this is the problem, is that everybody's going the God is not dead route. Right. And I'm like, that's blatantly Christian, but then they water down the message in order to quote unquote reach the lost. But in all reality, what does it actually do? Because only Christians are going to see it. I was like, what you need to do is you need to do what the left is doing, what the mainstream is doing. They're not making their talking points the primary message. They're making it the subliminal message. They're making it the secondary talking points, whether it's in music or whether it's in their movies. And so that way you have to accept that belief system in order for the film to make sense. They're not just coming out and saying, hey, this is a climate change anti-Second Amendment movie. It's just you have to accept it for 2 hours in order for the movie to make sense. Is that, would you agree with that? Or like how much control over people's minds do you think that the entertainment industry actually has?
Well, outrageous amounts of control. How many, if there was a way to get a statistic on how many people actually are getting their sort of moral direction from like Taylor Swift or something because they're a fan. So the entertainment industry always has been outrageously influential. And over the years, of course, they've studied this and they know exactly what to do subliminally, usually subliminally. And people are like, they don't want to like watch a TV ad or other things and ever like consider, am I being like completely like railroaded here and like deceived over what's being said? They just kind of, and you notice how over the years, how fast everything is. Bang, 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 cut, 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 whether it's a movie trailer, a TV ad, whatever, because they don't want people really to think too much. They just want, go see this movie because look, you see punching violence, you see this quick sex scene, all this stuff, and like, oh, well, that's what you, but where's the substance to there? Is there a story, or is it just, you know, all of that, just, you know, all this fast, so anyway, music and yeah, I mean, the amount of influence is just it's outrageous. But you know, there's a lot of people who like being sheep. They just don't want to think. They want someone else to think for them, and they'll just follow with whatever they're told. Now, there's a lot of like atheists or people who are anti-Catholic will say, well, that's what Catholics are. You just follow what you're being told. Not true. I listen and I make an analysis of it. I give it some thought, and then I come out the other side. Okay. But instead of just blindly following it, we give it some I give it some thought, and I know you do too. I mean, that's what that's why we're doing what we're doing, because we're not just allowing whatever the media is telling us um, in any form or fashion to do, and their marching orders. You notice Facebook. Forget the name for a minute, because I haven't been on that for years, and I'll never go on it again. Um, but the term Facebook, and they know that putting up an image which they encourage of someone's face is always what they want. That they know that people's brain will engage with someone's face more than anything else. So a lot of posts maybe will get skipped over. That could be very, because it doesn't have a picture of someone's face, and of course, anytime they could exaggerate sexuality, it's going to get eyes on it for a little bit longer. So we're being just completely conned, like everywhere, and it's tough.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah,
So
man.
well, let me ask you this then, because it seems
Yeah.
like whether you're talking about, again, like the tech crowd, like the Zuckerbergs and the Elons and the Jack Dorseys, or you're talking about, musicians or actors or people in the news media or in all these different areas, they're all spouting the exact same message. And so
Yeah.
the question that everybody always asks me is, okay, so is this coordinated? Is this like what Dr. Malone says, like mass formation psychosis, where everybody just, they're kind of being influenced and going into a psychosis? Is there a handful of people calling the shots? There's always the talk about people in Hollywood where they're having to go through rituals. They're basically selling their soul, and then they're basically taking their marching order. Like, how deep does all this go from your experience and in your research and all this?
That's a really, really incredibly interesting question, or something you're thinking about, is like, are they teaching, are they just blindly following what they're being told? Or again, is now we're talking about demonic influence. How does that happen? When you are sinning constantly and living a life of doing things that are offensive to God constantly, you've opened the door for that. You've opened the door for the demonic to just keep, because you're under the authority of the demonic as soon as you commit a sin. That's as simple as that is. You want to keep doing it. You're saying it's okay. And he's going to then say, okay, this guy, I'm making him think what he's doing is good, and let's make him enjoy what he's doing. So he'll keep offending God, hurting other people, on and on and on. Does that answer your question, sort of?
No, I think it does to a certain degree, because especially on the spiritual level, because it's one of those things where, and I used to live in Hollywood. I worked in Beverly Hills for a period of time. I've been in and around the entertainment industry and celebrities and like all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting, because I always say that what's really going on in Hollywood is much worse than anything you see on TMZ or the tabloids or anything like that. But I think like the enticement is always to they're always appealing to your sin nature. So what you're saying makes complete sense from like a spiritual standpoint. But then like how coordinated is all this kind of stuff? I don't think that everybody who is in Hollywood is in the know that, okay, there's a handful of people that are calling the shots and pushing propaganda, and are the intelligence agencies involved, or is the Illuminati real, or whatever it is. But then again, also at the same time, it seems like there is some sort of hierarchy of some people calling the shots. It trickles down, and everybody is basically parroting the exact same talking point.
I think so. You mentioned the Illuminati, and so right off the bat, some people hear that word. Oh, you're conspiracy theorists, and that's okay. To not consider that there has been an incredibly powerful group of people, financially and the media especially, that have been running things, and with the intention of as much destruction as possible. To not consider that as being a real condition, or something that has happened and is happening, is you're just then you're basically you have cognitive dissonance, because when you see all the evil that's going on, but refuse to accept, wow, our government really is trying to poison people through a vaccine with a virus that they made so they can give you the vaccine. If you won't even consider that because it's too troubling to consider, you need to get it together, because there's the people that in life, the people that make it happen, the people that watch it happen, and the people that go, well, what happened? Right? Pay attention and just remember, evil never quits. It never will. It's always been here. It never rests. It never sleeps. It never does anything. It only has one purpose, and it will not stop. Okay, so it's there. It's there, and consider it's there, and act accordingly.
Yeah,
Right.
which then I think then leads to kind of I think probably my final question, which is, so act accordingly. How should people act in light of all this information? Like, what do we do about all of this? Because I think that's one of those things, is that people will always talk about, okay, all the evil that's in Hollywood, the evil that's in our government. There's some people like, oh, just show up and vote. Boycott Disney, boycott this. Like, where do we go where we can actually make a difference? Is it boycotts? Is it getting politically involved? How do we deal with this in light of it being a spiritual battle as opposed to just a political battle? What's your takeaway on all this?
Okay, that's obviously the $64,000 question. Is what do we do?
With inflation? It's probably the $640,000 question, but yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a few things. You need to understand. People need to understand what's going on politically, because the power of evil people, it's not going to be a guy who's running a bakery. It's going to be someone who's in a powerful position, a politician, or a Facebooker or something like that. Now, something that troubles me a great deal over the years about Christianity, about the church, and I'm talking about in a larger perspective, not just the Catholic Church, but we pray for people, we hope for the best, or pray for the best and everything. But if I do that, if I pray for the best, but in the meantime, right outside the door, there's a kid who's being given the transgender speech and everything, I need to actually step up, step out, regardless of the consequences or what someone may shout me down. And again, if you sit and watch it, you're guilty then of letting it happen. Okay, so the church still to me is like, well, pray and do what is holy, become as holy as you can to save your soul. And yes, absolutely, I can't save anyone's souls. I could try to help them, to talk to them, to let them know, the eternal is in great jeopardy for you unless you start to pay attention to what's going on. But again, if I just sort of stay in my compartment in the church, I do my things and then I leave, and I know all that other stuff is going on. Okay. The St. Michael prayer, defend us in battle. The prayer says we're in battle, defend us, but meaning be our shield. We're also supposed to stand up and not just lay down. Oh gosh, look at that. That's so bad. No. And because Jeff, kids' lives are at stake. That's as simple as it is. So you mentioned the spiritual battle, political, and we need to it's going to get rough. It's going to get rougher than it is now, but we have to speak accurately. Stop using the terms that they demand we use, and then when we use them, oh, you're divisive. I'm divisive because I told the truth. That's as simple as that is. And that should be the response. Oh, you're divisive. I just told you the truth. I gave you an accurate statement. That's not divisive.
I would embrace the label of being divisive and say, yes, I am being divisive because I'm dividing truth and error is basically what it comes down to. And then I think the other aspect of it as well is, and I'm glad you brought it up, is that, you know, if you're just sitting there and you're listening or watching somebody say something that's totally, you know, wrong, or they're preying upon kids or whatever it is, and you do nothing, you're basically complicit in it. And I think a lot of people feel like, well, I'm never going to change that guy's mind. And the way that I was looking at it is that you're probably right. You're never going to change that person's mind because they're deeply entrenched into that ideology. But you do have an opportunity to change the viewer's mind. You know, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on a show, whether it's in public or in the public square, or whatever it is that you're doing it not to change that person's mind. You're doing it to change somebody else's mind who may be listening in on that conversation. And so that's why, you know, I think a lot of people, they get very emotionally charged in these and they start going. I'm like, no, don't, because you're not in the argument with them. You're trying to overcome their objections to convince somebody else to come over to your side from an ideological standpoint.
Yes, exactly. The church, for the most part, right? You know, a word that's never, ever, ever used by anyone is forgiveness. And that's a fundamental, so fundamental. In the Sermon on the Mount, it's mentioned twice. It is the difference between survival and extinction. There must be forgiveness. But the thing is, like you said, there are people who are there. They don't want to reverse course. They don't want to do any introspection at all. They don't want to reconsider their position. Because their ego is just through the roof, and they're just going to keep subscribing to what they are. They're going to freak out if you say anything different, which they're spoiled. It shows you that they're spoiled, angry children who are like, oh, don't say that, don't say that. Okay, you can't deal with life. Go stay in your playpen at home, but leave people alone until you can get it together. So anyway, a lot of the things I'm saying does not sound too Catholic or too Christian, but the reality is some people are fine with being evil. They'll call you and me evil because we're mentioning their behavior. We're the evil ones. Okay. So there's some people, but yes, it is out, of course, to try to save people or to enlighten them to what's going on. And look, Jesus himself, as far as we know, Jesus whenever he spoke, he never sat there and said, okay, I'm going to give you guys first. You guys understand what I said? I'm going to ask some questions and you need to answer them because I want to make sure you got it before I go on to the next place. He dropped the information. It was like they got a lot to talk about, and he went on. And so we're not going to be able to, again, do you get it? Are you going to change? People, if they never hear it, and they never hear anything like what we're talking about, then it's not even a consideration. So all we hear right now basically is, you know, from the political end, and, you know, abortion being, why did I call it abortion? Don't do that. Don't do that. The child mutilation is referred to as a political, it's a political issue. You're being political. No, it's not. It's a murder of a child. You know, come on. So, did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, I know. I definitely think you did. So if people want to you know, get more information from you, I know you host a show. People want to tune into that. Where do they go for that? How do they do that? And tell everybody all about that.
All right. Well, I still have a YouTube channel, Rat Skates. There's a Twitter account I have, and one other that I have. I mean, I have almost nothing. It's on minds.com. And sometimes there's some people on there. It's really conservative, and there's some very smart people on there. And then I have a website, ratskates.com. You can find out basically what I'm doing. The thing that I've been doing in this environment with the honeymooners thing, one other thing, whoever's listening, I suggest doing this. I did a video about 2 years ago called Star Trek Meets Bernie and Trump. All right. And it got, I'm not exaggerating, it was getting like 20,000 plays a day. It was through the roof until their algorithm caught up that, hey, wait a second, but what this video, it's hysterical, by the way. That's the whole, like a 4-minute You'll see. Is when the algorithm caught on, this whole thing is making fun of Bernie Sanders and the left in a huge way. But the fact that, and Trump, he appears in it too, yeah, but it's primarily Bernie Sanders. And so the reason I'm saying all this is about comedy. Comedy can be outrageously effective because God is allowing Satan, whatever Satan does, it can only be allowed by God. Satan is on a leash from God. God is allowing Satan to do a certain amount of things for different reasons. So, of course, he wants us to build some kind of area in virtue and things like this. But ultimately, too, he's allowing to do it because it's punishment. An exorcist will completely agree, or that the demons right now are so desperate and they know their time is just about an end. They are trying so hard to do anything they can because they know that they're at the end of the time. God is going to allow them to be active in our lives. It's just about at an end. And so but for their punishment, things like, I don't want to humiliate a person. However, if that person's demonic, I'm not after you. If you could be saved, great. But in the meantime, something's pulling your strings, and that's what I'm after. And if you react in a way where, okay, well, you're just following your marching orders from the guy who's the demon who's pulling your strings. So anyway, comedy is good. What we're doing is good. Let's speak accurately. Tough battle, Jeff, but we're going to, do you have a boy or a girl? You're 2 months old.
I have a son, yes. Yep.
All right. And you are going to raise him, I know that, to fight and know who the enemy is. And that's what we don't know right now. And it's tough. And it's tough. We're going to do it, though.
No, yeah, no, we definitely have to, and I think if we see anything through church history and just world history in general, is God usually use a small handful of people that just happen to be obedient, and then He works through them and does miraculous things. And so it's just to me, it just comes down to we just have to be obedient, proclaim the truth, and keep marching forward. So, but hey, I really appreciate you coming on. It was a blast talking to you, kind of picking your brain a little bit. We'll definitely have to do it again sometime. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Okay, Jeff, thank you. Because I was going to say, I'd love to come on again. I love doing this stuff.
Yeah, no, yeah. Let's definitely make it happen. Everybody, make sure that you follow him on the socials. Go to his website, check out his YouTube, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you guys are doing that. I'll have the link in the show notes. You guys can do that as well. Make sure that you guys are subscribing to this show on Rumble, Apple Podcasts as well, if you guys want to catch the recording afterwards. And then 2 things really quick. You guys can sign up for my Substack, get all of my shows, articles, and interviews directly in your email inbox. Go to jeffdornik.substack.com, and you guys can sign up for that. And then as well, a lot of you guys have been asking, how can I support the show? Well, I set up a Give, Send, Go. You guys can go to givesendgo.com/Jeff Dornik, givesendgo.com/Jeff Dornik. And if any donation of more than $50, well, you guys will get a free signed copy, actually, of Church and State, How the Left Used the Church to Conquer America. It's a book that I put together with Pastor Greg Locke, Denise McAllister, Dr. Michael Brown, a whole host of other contributing authors. So if you guys want to support the show, go over there. You guys can get a signed copy of Church and State. And then all that money goes toward expanding the show, building up Freedom First Network, just getting the truth out there as far as and wide as we can. So definitely do that if you guys so choose. But I truly appreciate everybody tuning in. We're going to be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time. I've got Dr. Pierre Corey joining us. He's the guy who figured out that ivermectin beats COVID. So you guys are going to want to tune into that as well. And then tomorrow afternoon, I believe either at 12 or 12:30 off the top of my head, I'm doing another episode of In the Foxhole with Karen Kingston. So we're going to be diving into more craziness with Pfizer, COVID jabs, the whole deal. So make sure you guys are tuning into that. You guys will always catch all the episodes at the Jeff Dornik Show on Rumble. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. We shall catch you guys next time.